and gentlemen, and welcome to day 2 of the EU Expansion Tournament here from our studios in Cologne. As today we have to say goodbye to one of the teams in the tournament and one moves on to Sunday. I'm Sjokz supporter and I'm joined here on the desk by Martin Deficio Lunge and Mitch Krepo Voorspoels. Well, same lineup as yesterday in the beginning of the day. And well, guys, we saw some very, very decisive victories from the side of Giants and H2K. A lot to work on basically for Faculty and Reason.
Yeah, it was very clear. Basically just from game 1, how good Giants were, and H2K did the exact same thing against Faculty yesterday. Super one-sided. We never really got to see Reason or Faculty get going. So today's matchup, I'm not even sure what to expect because I don't know if H2K are better than Giants or the other way around here.
And yeah, my highlight of yesterday is yet again those European mid laners showing up. I think Faviven was really impressive. I think he died once in that series. He ended up something crazy. 22 kills, I think, 1 death, and then a bunch more assists for his name. And he just played really well. And he just shows that there's always more mid lane talent coming out of Europe. Somehow, magically, it happens. It's really fun to see. I really hope he gets his hands on his Jace later. And I'm still looking forward to Purefect because even though he lost against Faviven, but I feel like he got outclassed so hard that their team crumbled, but he's still a good mid laner. And I think later in this series, we're going to see that he's probably, in my head, going to win that mid lane matchup and then snowball it from there.
You're just saying that because he's Belgian?
Perhaps. I am not entirely unbiased.
We're all super good at League of Legends. Anyway, let's take a look at the, except for Sjokz. Well, okay. Let's take a look at the schedule for today. As said, we will have our elimination game in the EU Expansion Tournament. It will be a best of 5 between Reason Gaming and Faculty, and one of these teams will be out. Then tomorrow we have the winners final, of course, between Giants and H2K to see who gets into the LCS, and then whoever emerges from the losers bracket on Sunday will still have a chance to qualify for the LCS. It is a double elimination bracket, so as said, lose twice and you're out. So it's going to be goodbye for Reason Gaming or Faculty here today, and it'd be the challenger for them, and one of them still has a chance to qualify on Sunday. Let's start off by taking a look at the team's rosters and go a little more in depth into this matchup. Starting off with the Faculty roster as we saw them playing yesterday. In the top lane, we had Xaxus, Obvious in the jungle, Sauce Purefect in the mid lane, Cedrion and Mountain in the bottom lane. As you highlighted Perfect already, Deficio, is there anyone specifically you want to see step up here, or will it be more of a team strategy effort?
I want to see Obvious be a lot more aggressive in the early game. The entire team looked very passive, but him as the jungler, he's the guy who can really make the plays early on. Even when he played Pantheon, he barely did anything, tried to counter gank a few times, which he did really well. He was very good at reading where Lulix was in the game yesterday, but he could never start anything himself. And that was a big, big problem. Basically, the entire team, they have to try. I mean, if you don't try anything, you're just going to sit back and slowly lose the game. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I do think there are a few good things about Faculty, though. If you look back to yesterday, they had that lane swap that they did successfully game 1. Then game 3, they actually they lost out there because they got dove, but they learned from that. Their vision was actually pretty good. I think Obvious together with support Mountain helped each other out and got some slightly deeper wards at least, so that was decent. But they need to fix what's in between. You know, late game they were doing that Baron dance and they were holding on for their life, but as Deficio said, they weren't really doing anything. I really liked the way Obvious was reading the gank, so maybe he should just get the better scaling jungler, farm a little bit, counter gank, and at least have something to go into mid game. Because if, like you said, if all you're doing is reading ganks and you're not actually making any plays with Pantheon, you're just gonna fall off and lose the game from there.
Yeah, and it's also very important now for someone like Xaxus, who's been in the LCS, who's been in these like high pressure games, to really pick up the team. His performance yesterday, it wasn't very good, to be honest. I mean, his Malphite game in the end was a sloppy game, but he couldn't do much because he was like the main engaged against the lineup where everyone was like, okay, we know Malphite is the guy to look for. Everyone else we can just completely ignore here. So it was a hard game for him. But he needs to step it up here. He is the carry on the team, or one of the carries at least, and they need him to perform. Yeah,
talking about lineups with experience, let's actually take a look at that Reason Gaming lineup that will be on the other side. In the top lane, Kuban, Zayu in the jungle, Take Fun in the mid lane, and Celiver and Libic in the bottom lane. And as said, already some guys here who can really bring that experience to the table, who have been up in those best of 5s fighting for their LCS lives. Generally, looking at the bottom lane, we didn't actually see that much of them, didn't really have a chance to get into the game. What will be the main thing they have to adjust here coming into this best of 5?
I'm actually not quite sure. I think both, like, they share the same champion pools, they share the same picks. They played, you know, hints of aggression here and there, but overall rather passive, because both series yesterday were decided by, I think, more mid jungle and top working together, and the bottom lanes were usually a non-factor. We even saw in H2K Vordal managed to just hold his team like in there into the early game, and then he started racking up those assists towards the end game when all the other guys actually pretty much sealed the deal already. I think looking back at the series of H2K, Febiven basically controlled those games. However, in these matchups, I don't see any player outcasting his opponent or his direct nemesis like so far that he will single-handedly control the game. So we'll have to see more strategy coming in, more team play, more objective focus, dragons, etc., etc.
I just want to see recent gaming put all the focus on solo laners, because Selva and Lipic in the laning phase actually did okay. They played the Graves, Janna lane a few times, got a few kills as well, so it looked super good. But then solo laners were losing. Kuban always managed to fall behind at level 1 because he gave over a camp to the enemy top laner, or take fun in the mid lane against Pepinero was a very one-sided matchup as well. These two solo laners, they have to perform here, and obviously Zayu in the jungle. I don't want to see him play Lulu at the moment. I don't want to see him play Lee and building Juggernaut as the first item. He needs to have some pressure as well. And it's funny how both teams who are now playing this elimination match are the one where they're passive junglers, and it just didn't work out. You need to be able to make some plays, put some pressure on the map here, help out your solo laners because they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see what they come up with here today. They're fighting for their LCS lives, or their lives here in the EU Expansion Tournament to make it into the LCS. So let's move over to our casters to get us into Game 1.